Christmas Evans, a short biography by B.A. Ramsbottom. The mightiest preacher of the age, Dr. Thomas Raffles of Liverpool, early 19th century. The Great Preacher, biography by D. Rees Stephen, 1847. Christmas Evans was a Paul in labor, a Bunyan in imagination, and a Whitfield in eloquence. Religious Tract Society biography, mid-19th century. Of the few distinguished Welsh preachers, of whom it may be said without exaggeration that they are known to fame, Christmas Evans has acquired the widest celebrity. Biography by D. M. Evans, 1863. The Renowned Apostle of Wales. Lecture by Thomas Phillips of Cardiff, 1878. The great man whose name occupies the foremost place among those of the leading preachers of Wales. The greatest preacher that God has ever given to Wales. Echoes from the Welsh Hills by David Davis, 1883. This remarkable man and truly eminent minister of the gospel of Christ, a household word throughout the principality. Friendly Companion, 1897. Three preachers stood out above the rest, and they were alike in many things. They were Christmas Evans, a Baptist, John Elias, a Calvinistic Methodist, and Williams of Werne, an Independent. Of these three, Christmas Evans alone passed beyond the bounds of the principality and established a name and reputation that were worldwide. His name became a household word among Christians everywhere. Biography by E. Eberhard Rees, 1936. The great Christmas Evans, whom some would say was the greatest preacher that the Baptists have ever had in Great Britain. Puritan Conference Address by Dr. D. M. Lloyd Jones, 1967. Chapter 1. The Forgotten Christmas. It was a beautiful August evening when we set out in search of Christmas Evans's preaching place at Galtraith at the back of Rhyw Mountain. Leaving the main Aberdaron road at Fontgnog, we followed a minor road and turning from this, a track which led toward the mountain side. Abandoning the car, we pressed on, armed with detailed instructions and an ordnance survey map. Still, there was no sight of Christmas Evans's chapel. Eventually, we knocked at the door of a remote farmstead. A fierce-looking bearded man answered and received us very kindly. Yes, he knew about Christmas Evans. Had not cameramen been up taking a film only a week or two ago? Quickly, he explained to us where the chapel stood, adding, "And up on the hillside is a well, where he got his holy water." How mysterious the legends that have arisen about both ancient and modern saints. Thanking our kind informer for his help, we began to leave when he called, "Just one thing. Do you mind going round the other side of the farm? It is a miracle you ever got in. The billy goat is better than any watchdog. We found the old ruined chapel, almost secluded by trees, with a burial ground which must have been used as recently as the last war. This was truly wild Wales. Behind the chapel rose the mountain. In the other direction, the sea at Port Newgall was clearly visible. The sun sank behind the mountains. Here and there, a bat flitted past us. The wind began to blow cold. Yet there was something hallowed about the setting. We had long felt that Christmas Evans was both a great man and a very gracious man. And now there was a wish that once again people should know of the forgotten Christmas. Chapter 2. Cwm Tywyll, the Dark Valley. The long, straggling mid-Welsh village of Llandyssil, nearly 10 miles from Newcastle Emlyn, lies near a wild, mountainous tract of country which has been described as a scene of the wildest magnificence. Here, over 200 years ago, at a place called Ynysgarwen, lived a poor shoemaker, Samuel Evans, with his wife Johanna. The 25th of December, 1766, was to be a special day to them. They were anxiously awaiting the birth of a baby, their second, and before nightfall, a son was born to them. Because of the day of his birth, he was given a special name, Christmas. Of his father we know nothing except that he was always fighting sickness. Of his mother we have just one mention. The fact that she urged Christmas, when a little boy, to think of his eternal welfare, eliciting the comment that she was a good preacher. Whatever memories he had of his parents, he never made known to others. It was a common trait among Welsh people at this time to be very reticent about their family affairs. There was nothing in Christmas Evans's humble beginnings to suggest any other lot than that of his parents, that he should live and die in obscurity and poverty. But God had intended otherwise. Much of the Wales into which he was born was still sunk in deep ignorance and gross superstition. The belief in corpse candles and the like, strange lights seen when a person died. Yet there were few districts entirely untouched by the revival under the preaching of the great Daniel Rowland. While Christmas was only a child, his poor father died, and his widow, with her little family, had to struggle hard against poverty and even destitution. When what seemed a wonderful opening appeared, she was only too glad to seize it. Her brother, James Lewis, had a farm at a place named Bwlchog, in the nearby parish of Llanfiangel ar Arth, and promised to take little Christmas and feed and clothe him in return for any duties on the farm he could perform. Christmas spent 6 years with his uncle, 6 years of sadness and misery. He had to look after his uncle's cattle at Cwm Tywyll, meaning the Dark Valley, a very significant name. His uncle James proved to be a selfish drunkard and most cruel man. In fact, in later life, Christmas Evans said of his uncle, it would be difficult to find a more unconscionable man than James Lewis in the whole course of a wicked world. His uncle's only care seemed to be to get as much work out of him with the smallest possible expense. During these impressionable years, no care was taken of him either morally or religiously, or to give him the rudiments of education. At the age of 17, he could not read a single word.